Hello, Professor. This is the final project of ADTA 5240, data harvesting, storing, retrieving data for the spring 2021. Myself, SahithBomma. Today's the topic is part 1, a strategy to deploy a big data technology in the firm. Basically, big data is the area that focus on finding the ways to examine effective and separate data from or handling in rates that too large or complicated to be handled with traditional data method tools. Initially, there are three main concepts were associated with the big data: volume, veracity, and speed. Initially, three main concepts are collided with the data, since the big data analysis poses sampling challenges and also observations and sampling were previously allowed. As a result, big data often contains data in size that conventionally software cannot process in reasonable amount of time or for a reasonable price. To the next topic, even though I agree that asking the right question for the half of what the big data scientist can do, there's other methods that can be used, and the latest the data speaks approach the only frequent suggestions, especially for the non-technical professionals, or a sort of magical random data discovery that can be spotted interested inside that the human asset would miss. Well, the fact rather infrequent methods, the data mining contains a large amount of resource or can be potentially destroy value. What's the key reason? While data mining is always unusual in that is done without any logical, which leads to the um, common bulging like false predictive like overfitting, ignorance with your relationship, or stamping bias, or the quotient correlation relation, or incorrect variable inclusion, or finally the mode collection. Since the observation data only considers the second axis, we should pay particular attention to the curious correlation issues. On the other hand, believe that the issue can be easily solved by the explanation. As a result, I believe the hybrid approach is needed to be correct with the frame of the question. The intelligent data deployment process and the exploration research are beneficial at the site. We don't know. The topic must be answered from the various viewpoints by using the various approach, which could be result in the unexpected collision. Even in a formal sense and the same vein, I believe that there are a few steps to evaluate the relationship in large data sets. The problem in formulation, which is based on theoretical and practical consideration, aims to identify the relation should be further explored. Instead, the identification phase verifies the accuracy and the validation of the available data by attempting to account all relative variables or effective both statistical methods or non-quantitative criteria. All possible models must be dramatically or consistently checked with unbiased producers in the analytical phase, and insight gained from the data analysis must be fed backward to the strength of problem formation. The futures, those futures were integrated into lean strategies, and the time, effect, and the cost associated with the data collection, the research, the technical advancement, or the expert measurement. The framework values lies in preventing the polar position to collect all the data or the collect not at all. The following depression kept the step and approach of big data. The first, the business must be defined as well as analytical method can be used. There is a feedback loop between two stages, the business process specifications and the analytical framework identification, as well as between the analytical framework identification and the data set creation. This process must be taken into account all forms of data, including data at the register that is like statistical or and inactive sort of the database. Data in motion, that is like in analytical storage in temporary memory, and data in use, that is constantly updated or stored in database. The validation includes the modeling phase and the modeling conclusion with the statistical implications and measurings. Instead, constantly update the model without any business response. A feedback mechanism can be prevent the initial stats that by feeding the business positions with the result of the study. For this, we follow the following steps. Uh, following steps is a topic to be answered from the various viewpoints with the various approaches we could result in unexpected collisions. There's a modern setup embedded validation as a result, while the process end up with the scalability implications and mission. The feedback mechanism should be prevented and internal statics feeding the business process with the outcoming of analysis instead of improving the constantly the model without any business response. It's a diagram which helps to the feedback into the business process like optimization, like the scale, measurement, monitoring, calibrating, like the how much is big the data business that amount of data should be measured. It's a modeling phase, like the modeling construction, modeling valuation, model visualization, the way the modern user visualize the amount of data set, creating the full data set, like the data acquisition, data and the rest sampling, and the data in motion and the processing, data in use, the capturing and processing. Next, the definition of the analytical framework, identification of the models to be used and design to be implementation in steps. That they define the business process, identifying the customer's objective, frame the problem, state the business hypothesis, sampling of the data, and exploring analysis. Later on, there is a leap implementation strategies in the big data. Basically, this method is significant because it emphasizes the fundamental elements of the big data innovation. Even if the big data analysis is introduced with the goals of reducing world complexity, it actually offers numerous solutions to the same problem, and some of those solutions force us to reconsider the original query. Um, Many of the factors apply to both personal projects and cooperative data management. Work is the cooperative setting necessities, the additional safeguards such as create the solid internal data analysis protocol. That the steps to the protocol like aggregation, merging the different sources, integration, connecting to the different platforms on the system, normalization is the golden record of the common reporting standards, and validation. This ascertain complexity and unavailability and accuracy of the information. Basically, they're the method for managing data internally, uh, like the method of managing data internally. The data must regularly aggregated from the various sources of information encrypted, while the other systems or the platforms universal reporting standards, the so-called the master copy, must be established, and all the data must be tested for the consistency and completeness. Internally, data measurements and combined with well-designed golden records will help to solve the huge problems of the stratified entry. Dysfunctional data sets cause different individuals agreements that the data sets of the different times to the different layers. Most of the knowledge discussed here is not one size fitting all and should be carefully tailored to various scenario teams and organization. But it is, in my views, a good place to start thinking about the big data process. As I previously mentioned, there's a number of concern considering internally the data sets management policies and the producers, and the solution is to these problems are not easy. We need to framework in which to address them. A data set, a data stage of development structure D2S is matured model design specifically for this purpose, as well as a roadmap for implementing a revenue generator and impactful data strategies. It can be used to analyze the company's current situation, determine the next step for improving the initial big data capabilities. That also helps us to develop the initial ideas and keep the things and data sets in order. The following shows the force matrix which increases the evolution of the labeled primitives like big factory significance with culture, data, technology, talent as metrics. The final point for remembering the financial effect is well-defined data strategies on the company will be drawn in the last minute. Data management isn't straightforward. It demands careful supervision from the moment the data is created until it's retired. When data is managed properly, you can measure the risk while enhance the data usage or the quality. Companies often run into the problems when they work with the data with the despite sources or the scalers, whether it's the issue related to the data duplication or isolation or the complex management issues or reboot data management service that are supported by the right tool can be you over personally hurdle that lies ahead. It's almost basic level. Data management describes the process of collecting, storing, using data effectively, security, costly, effective. Primary objective here is to connect pipes and data sources and making critical business decisions as this game generates access in our life. Effective data management combines of the pri- best practice concepts, process procedures, and the exclusive collection of the data and the response effectively. In other words, it's a multi-platform heterogeneous process that involves various tools and objectives to achieve the centralized data coherence is the process followed the life cycle of data assets. They includes the main tools like cloud data management, ETL data integration, data transformation, master data management, reverse data management, and the data analysis and visualization.